Hey again, everyone. This is Raj Giri. I'm here with MLW founder and CEO Court Bauer. Court, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. It's been a long time.
Has been a long time. Feels like ages since I last saw you. A lot has happened.
I think the last time was it a Wale Mania or an MLW show?
It was MLW last year.
Okay.
I believe, yeah.
Last
in New
year
York.
feels like 5 years ago. It's like almost like dog years. It's like,
Right.
When was that? Oh my God. 2020 has been a long year.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of which, you guys are back. You guys are back with the restarts next week.
Yes.
How has that been going?
Man, it's been, when you're not producing and assembling TV for a whole, say, essentially 8 months, you have to get back into the routine, and it's been great getting back into that routine and building these shows and stuff. I will say, going into the tapings and trying to map out such a significant block of programming with all these variables, and there's the variable of how's this going to work, how's it going to play once it hits air, of course, but then there's the variable of testing and going through that process where you're like, we're going to do a few rounds of testing, and you hope that what you have on paper is in actuality what you're able to film and end up with in the cam. And we were very fortunate. Our guys and our crew and our staff, went through thorough testing, and passed repeatedly. And we were just like, I didn't expect that. We had over planned, anticipating that we were going to have like a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D, and all the connective tissue involved with that. There's like this domino effect from a booking and matchmaking point of view that totally screws everything up. But we had, it's like, I don't know if it was, Russian roulette or luck on our side, but everything just went fine, thankfully. And we're able to get everything we wanted in the can as we had hoped.
Nice. So when did you know it was the right time to bring MLW back? Because different promotions did different things. Some New Japan just came back a couple months ago, but you guys stayed safe during this pandemic.
Yeah. So for us, it was a few things. One, you wanted testing to get more accurate, more accessible, and with things kind of kicking into high gear in August with the NBA and their rapid testing they worked with Yale on, that came along rather quickly and rather well. There were some other rapid tests that came along well. Treatment got better. When we kind of committed to doing our taping, the numbers then were low. As we film this today, numbers are hitting, unfortunately, an all-time high. So it's like, again, with this kind of thing, you don't have the visibility of even maybe 3 weeks, let alone, a month or two. So we were hoping that this would work out and the numbers would be consistent when we were filming, and everything would kind of converge. But we also, we spoke with the folks at New Japan, because they were out there doing a great job on testing when they were doing their shows in Japan, but also stateside, to kind of get a sense for their system, how it worked for them in the wrestling realm. And so that helped us. That gave us a lot more information to work with. And we saw also, God forbid someone gets the virus, therapeutics were getting a bit better. So it felt like, given all this information we now have, which you didn't have in March, you didn't have in April, you didn't really even have until maybe I felt like people started to feel a little bit like there was more information and treatment, and things were looking a little bit better by midsummer. That's where we said, okay, let's get everyone back to work.
Nice. So what were the kind of different hurdles that you had to jump over to get these tapings going, to get these tapings done in this era?
Well, we kind of created like a mini bubble for the guys. And so, the hurdles are, you want everyone to be responsible going in. They also have the opportunity, we afford them to work elsewhere. So you're kind of at the mercy of fate and other people's decisions and other systems, other promotions, and what they're doing. So those are variables you can't control. You hope that they're going to do their best to make every best effort to go out there and take care of their health and protect themselves from this and others. And our guys are really good, and they were very proactive, and we were very fortunate. So that was the big hurdle. In terms of logistics and everything, it was like any other show. It felt in some ways being able to do production back to back days is nice, because your crew gets into a rhythm. There's no setup. You have setup day one, and that's it. So that was a nice part of the operation for us. And there were people on the crew, or people that, you know, for various reasons, health wise, didn't feel comfortable. So we had people that were on our staff, production, locker room, that couldn't participate in the trenches, but we were able to use them virtually in different capacities. And whether talent shooting on a small set, isolated in their neck of the woods, or people in the truck working virtually with a feed back home and helping produce the show. It's amazing how far technology's come, and it was really important to me that everyone feel included, that they can participate, that the pressure for them to be there in person wasn't felt, that the expectation is, hey, we want you to be a part of this. Let's figure it out. If you don't feel comfortable being in Orlando, how you can help us and do what you usually do for us.
Yeah. Can you kind of walk us through what the COVID-19 talent protocol has been, or the protocol has been for talent?
Well, you know, it's like we took a long time and we built out like a book. So I'd have to like read like an old phone book for people that remember what those looked like. But we had a COVID protocol, and we had a COVID officer that oversaw it. And what was great is we kind of basically, you know, because promoters in general historically are kind of tempted to just look the other way. So I said, listen, not that I would find myself tempted, but this is your domain. So as the COVID compliance officer for the company, build this out, work with our medical professionals that we've been talking with, and talk with specialists and the local community, and find the best people to staff to test, and then come up with a criteria that works. So, you know, we had even on location, kind of like the setup with this this pod system with small little portions of our locker room in these tents outdoor that were open and stuff. So we tried to make it as it's something that you really, it's hard to prepare for. We try to be as diligent as we could, as realistic as we could, that we want to make sure that we're not going to try to have some sort of spread or something like that. And the proof is in the pudding. Since our show last month, not one soul during that cycle tested positive. A few guys since then, outside that window, like I think it was like 20 days after the show, right, or something like that, 18 days. We had one that did, but it wasn't traced to our event. But in the aftermath, we even had a good follow-up. We reached out to talent, said, hey, how are you feeling? Please get tested. If you do get a positive test, let us know so we can alert other people. And we have a whole tracing system. We have a tracing app ready to dispatch. It's a whole different process than you're used to doing with a wrestling show. And I'm very thankful that, you know, I went the extra step and brought in someone just to really field that with their own team. I think that's a lot to put on your usual day-to-day staff for a wrestling company of any size. Bringing someone that knows what they're doing, that's certified, that has the background that can handle it.
So with these set of tapings, can you talk how differently the presentation will be from what MLW fans are used to in the past before the pandemic? So
yeah, you know, it's going to be a little different, obviously, as you're watching every wrestling product right now. There's probably it's been a little different than it looked probably, you know, 10 months ago or in 2019. So for one of the key things I felt, you know, in watching in the other shows out there, I thought there's some unique things they're doing that work, some that don't, some that I think, you know, maybe we could experiment with. One of the things I was fascinated by was Vince McMahon and his distaste for smoke-filled arenas. He would say, "Oh, we're taking wrestling out of smoke-filled arenas," and I'm like, I always thought that was kind of this really cool cinematic experience. We used to see the smoke-filled arenas, and it's the fog amongst the fighters as they're fighting, and it just feels very raw, primal feeling. You have this hazy look, and the two guys are going to war in the ring. It's cinematic, and it draws you more into the action. Visually, I think it adds a layer of authenticity that instead of like a more sterile, overproduced, overlit arena in this environment doesn't really give you much other than you're wrestling in front of maybe something that looks like a small scale Times Square. And in MLW, we can't afford a small scale Times Square. So how do you turn a negative into a positive? I said, let's bring back the smoke-filled arena. Let's get that haze look in there. And it will give it a certain level of intensity. So the experience will be a little more atmospheric, a little different. I think it's looking at the first episode, it's a pretty cool effect. And every episode you'll kind of see it. We'll probably make a little adjustment here and there to the presentation as we kind of zero in and lock in a look. I think when you look at any episode of a show early on in its run, they're getting a feel for it. By episode 8 or 9, they've locked it in. And this is almost like a new era for us because it's a whole different presentation for us. So we're going to take a few episodes to lock it in to the point where I like it. But we revamped everything. We added to our production significantly. We have a jib crane. We have new graphics. It's a whole different look than what we've had now. To the naked eye, you might not see some of that. To certain fans, you might notice some of these elements we've enhanced the product with.
So what was I'm really looking forward to seeing it. But what was the decision behind moving it to Wednesday nights?
Well, I actually wanted Thursday nights, but I want to be a good partner. Our broadcast partners had wanted us to move to Wednesdays, and so we said, okay, we're going to be a good partner. We just asked that we maybe do it earlier or later and not head to head, because I don't think that's a real win-win for fans. They already have 2 shows they have to pick from. So I said, let us be the lead-in, or the replay on the flip side. I was able to get both. So you can watch us on Fubo Sports Network free at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, or also on YouTube, which is where we've been forever on our YouTube channel, Major League Wrestling, and we'll also be available on DAZN a little bit on a delay on demand, and then on Saturdays, as always, on BN Sports at 10 p.m.
And then you mentioned Fubo Sports. During this time off, you guys have not stayed quiet. You guys have been doing a bunch of different partnerships,
right.
and including one with DAZN. How has the relationship with DAZN been so far?
Great. We had a call with them yesterday. They're doing this big thing in December where they're rolling out into 200 territories around the globe. And so they're getting to rev up their new model. And John Skipper, who was the former head of ESPN, is leading the charge over there. And it's been a great relationship. For us, during this pandemic, it was really important that we take this COVID-imposed hibernation and take that bandwidth, which would usually go towards running events and trying to build the business. For me, it was really important to now take this freed up bandwidth and build our business to emerge from the pandemic healthy and ready to run at a fast pace on a larger scale. So for me, it's really such an incredible compliment when I hear, hey, MLW is the best kept secret in wrestling. I'm like, yeah, it's great. Let's not keep it a secret though. So I really wanted to go, my goal was to go out there and try to expand our footprint, and we did that. The deal like DAZN was huge for us. Breaking news will also be available on Pluto TV. You can get us through the Fubo Sports Network channel on Pluto now. So it's another free way to get us. And so we did a bunch of international deals in Poland and stuff. And it was just a big part of the initiative to grow our global footprint with an emphasis on streaming. So by the time we air next week, we'll be available on over 100 million screens worldwide. That was really important to me. It's great to have the conventional deals that are on cable and stuff, and we want those deals, but the future is just to be everywhere simultaneously. And for me, to get that 100 million screens worldwide is key.
And you guys got a loaded card. You officially announced Davey Boy Smith Jr. versus World Heavyweight Champion Jacob Fatu as the main event for the restart. For people that have been following both, that seems like just an amazing match, like almost like a dream match in a lot of ways. How'd you put that match together?
Easy. That was one that was slated since December of last year, and it was supposed to be the main event of our July event. The July event in one version was a pay-per-view, and then when the DAZN deal was starting to come together, it was going to be our premier live event on DAZN in July, which would also have been part of the Battle Riot. And then the pandemic just got more complex, and now I'm like, well, I want to do this fight. Davey Boy has definitely earned this with his Opera Cup run, and he's just had a hell of a 2 years in the company, and they've never fought before. It's a no-brainer. And what better way to kick off the return than to give them like a pay-per-view quality fight, and it's a hell of a fight, and give that for free. And that's kind of what this whole chapter is about. We're going to make big fights every week and we're going to deliver it for free. You know, a lot of people right now with the pandemic, times are tough, and we're not going to say, hey man, you know, why don't you put $X down and buy us on pay-per-view? We're saying, hey, every week just tune in and enjoy. We're not asking for a dime, and we're going to give them big fights. And Davey Boy and Fat 2 is a big one.
Yeah, there were some rumors from the that were from the Wrestling Observer last week about Davey Boy and his status with MLW. There was rumors that he was at Chris Jericho's birthday party. Can you talk a little bit about your history with Davey Boy Smith Jr.?
Yeah, so we go back years, like 20 years maybe. So he started in MLW when he was 18 in 2004. We worked a bit together at WWE in the mid 2000s and have stayed close since then. So, you know, his 2-year deal's up with us this December. And, you know, we've always had a good relationship and we're in great terms now. And I said, listen, you know, no one knows what's ahead. And, you know, I would love for you to, if this is the end, go out hot. If it's now a cliffhanger and you return, let's see what happens. If you win the world title, well, that creates some interesting TV too. So we'll have to wait and see what happens next week. But Davey's a phenomenal talent, phenomenal guy, and a freak of an athlete. Just in terms of his dexterity, in terms of his just catch wrestling, it's exceptional. He's a real asset to any company. So you know, I'm honored to have had these 2 years with him. I'd be honored to have him continue on, and if he elects to go elsewhere, you know, man, he's going to get a send off from me.
And on the flip side, also, you are bringing in tons of new talent. What kind of things do you look for when you sign when you're bringing new talent into the company?
Well, you look for you want the drive, you want the passion, you want you look all the things what they do bell to bell, but I also look for the quality. Now more than ever, I think the quality of the character is really important. And when you're starting out a promotion, you really don't have the luxury of necessarily always selecting great talent that has great character, because you're just trying to build something and get as much noise around it. As you start to mature as a company, you should be getting more selective and finding guys a little bit more in line with what you hope to represent your company. And so that's a real big thing for me now. And I think we've really pivoted in the last year to more guys that have an incredible hunger for the business, but also have the qualities in their character that make a difference. Guys like Reid, Hammerstone, they're great guys, and they represent the company. Whatever we've asked and whatever they do, you know, whether it's outreach in the community, they're great guys, and they're the guys you want representing you. When they do media, when they do something with you, those are the guys you want. So that's really what it comes down to. It's easy to necessarily find guys that do all the crazy stuff. It's the guys that really represent that are important to me. And yes, you want them to go bell to bell for sure, but they got to also bring it away from the ring too.
Yeah, you mentioned Reid. What was the decision for his first MLW bout to pair him with Lio Rush?
He's Lio Rush.
Reid, right? And
yeah. He's we have Reid versus Pillman next week. Is that the one you're talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sorry.
So yeah, no, that one's a year in the making for us. They started their rivalry last December. So for us, that seemed like a no-brainer, and I wanted to do a big card. So 2 title fights felt like a big night for us. And those guys have been talking a lot of shit on social media and on Pulp Fusion. So I'm like, this is a hell of a fight. And it's been great. I mean, Reid's been with us now for almost 3 years. And to see him mature and develop into this astonishing world middleweight champion like he has, I mean, it's just an incredible run. I'm very proud of him. And Pillman too. They both signed around the same time in 2018 with us. To see them both emerge has been, I'm very proud of them both.
And as far as Reid goes, his partner Jordan Oliver, he's bulked up during the pandemic. Do you think it's do you like seeing that? I mean, he looks great, or would you prefer to see him, stay as a lightweight?
No, people don't realize he's deceptively tall. He's lanky because he hasn't filled out. He's like 19, so he's gonna grow. He's gonna build out that frame. If you looked at Randy Orton when he was 19, he will look lanky too. And
Right.
as you fill out, and Jordan's been working on that and putting on the pounds, he's gonna get there. But when you see him so thin, you think, oh, he must, maybe he's a smaller guy. Because Myron's also he's a tall dude too.
Yeah. And Lio Rush is coming back, is going to be there. How has it been working with Lio?
Awesome. Like just a world-class athlete, world-class performer, world-class guy. Usually when you have a guy that leaves a big system, especially WWE, sometimes they have a chip on their shoulder. They're a diva. They're difficult. They have it their way or the highway. It's a process to kind of bring them down to earth. With Lio, he was just a totally different animal. Just awesome. Just a totally different breed than what we're used to in that regard. He was just been nothing but a positive experience, and we're very supportive of him. We think there's a great platform for him. We think it's a great place to have some great matches that are on his list. They're on my list. When you bring a Lio Rush into your system, it makes my job easier because I can just put his name on one side of the paper, get my pencil, look at the other side with the roster, just connect him to all these different guys. I'm like, all right, TV just got easy with Lio Rush. He's a phenomenal talent. To have him be available, for him to go into free agency, to be available to us was like shocking to me. That to me is like just a major fumble for WWE because that guy's got it.
Yeah, no, he's a fantastic talent. And also, you had mentioned Pillman, who will be facing Myron Reid as part of the restart. Pillman this past summer, he seemed like he was getting a little antsy, wanting to get back to work. He had said that he had wanted out of his MLW contract. It seems like that was all patched up. Where do things stand now with Pillman?
We made amends. I think with every promotion, there's like a roller coaster ride with certain talent. And that's okay. It's like you hope that you can resolve the issues and everyone feels good about it, because there's nothing worse than when you have this heaviness over you on either side and you're like, man, this sucks. So I always try to make an effort to say, okay, let's try to come out of this in a positive way. Whether you stay or you go, it's like my obligation is to give the fans a good show. My obligation also is to build my business. My obligation also, I hope, by the end of this is that we continue our track record. If guys stay or go, by the end of their term with MLW, they're in a better place than when they started with MLW. And I think that's going to be the way it is with Brian, whether he stays or goes, is he's in a great place. And I think he's going to be in a better place than when he started with us with 30 matches in July of 2018. He's got a lot of passion. He's got a lot of heart. And, he's put in a lot of work. And if you look at him and how he's progressed over 2 years, he's done an exceptional job. He really has. He's found himself.
Yeah. Why'd you make the decision to split Gino Medina away from the dynasty?
You got to ask them. It was like mixing oil and water a little bit there. Gino is a very special guy. And sometimes when you see certain acts and how they work or better maybe on the other side as an adversary, you say, okay, maybe there's something there. With Gino, he has done so well in his Pulp Fusion videos as a solo presence. It kind of felt like this guy's got his own voice. He's kind of got in his own lane. And Holiday and Hammer just riff off each other so easily that I think it's like you're kind of going against the grain on it. It might be even better for us to have Gino as opposition to the dynasty, who are kind of like on the brink of, I would say they're basically tweeners now, with Hammerstone and his ridiculous charisma and his look and his energy. It's like people are so behind him, and his social media game's ridiculously good. And Holiday, who's just during Pulp Fusion, during this hibernation of sorts, has found his voice and has found his ability to just do incredible promos and shtick and stuff and show a lot of versatility. And they play off each other so well. So it's like all three kind of guys kind of found their way during this period. And then, two kind of went in one direction, the other one went in this other direction. And that's okay. You don't want to force something if it's just not working.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You mentioned Hammerstone. How has it been watching him break out like he has?
Oh, but he's one in a million. He's got it. And when I was able to sign him in, I guess it was early 2019, late 2018, I was, man, this guy just checks off all the boxes, everything I've heard about him. All my scouting reports were good. And then we got to work here. I was like, damn, he's even better than I thought. And so there's a reason why that guy has never lost a singles match. I knew from day one this guy was special. And within 3 months, he won his first title. And we've been tracking ever since on a certain path. And so one of the other things we did during this hibernation of sorts was identify the key guys who have contracts coming up on the horizon and restructure them and add several years so we can invest and continue on our paths without disruptions, without anything, and give them what they need and give them more money, give them more opportunity, and especially being able to do that and give them that opportunity during a pandemic was important to me. You want your talent valued, you want them to feel like they're getting paid what they deserve. And so we went and we knocked out a lot of new deals for these guys. Some of them actually haven't even announced yet because we're just finishing up the paperwork. But guys like Holiday, guys like Hammer, Selena, they're important to us. I'm building a foundation. You're never going to keep everyone. There's going to be guys who go to free agency, but you're going to have to be selective, and you want the guys that you can get that feel like a good fit for the system, and vice versa. They feel it too. It's got to be a two-way thing.
Yeah, and for fans of the site who haven't watched Hammerstone or seen him in action yet, make sure to be tuning into MLW The Restart every Wednesday night, because this guy's a superstar.
He's a beast. And it's like the same thing with Fat too, right? It's like this guy who we also signed to a new deal, and everyone's like, well, why isn't he at WWE? Why isn't he there? Why isn't he at this other company? You know what? He was a free agent once upon a time. They took a few looks, and they slept on him. I didn't. And I think there's an appreciation. The same thing with Hammerstone. He went down and I believe did the PC thing. It's like, how did they not see it?
Right.
It's like, I see this thing. It's like this guy's like one in a million. You don't find another Fat who's a freak out there. Hammerstone is just a beast. How do you not see it? Well, you have so much talent. Maybe get some guys get lost in the shuffle. That's the worst thing for a talent, is to have all these qualities and not be able to thrive in a system, because some promotions are just like they're like overstacking their roster, where there's just like it's just too much talent. You almost need a Google algorithm to figure out how you're going to utilize everyone and optimize their use. And it's going to happen. So we were very fortunate to have these guys and to lock them in, and they see it and they appreciate it too, because they want to be used to their best abilities. They want to be optimized. They want to be weaponized to do what they do out there.
And Hammerstone, he also has a great mind for the business. You could tell, because he's done a great job of keeping his name out there, during this whole pandemic. So he gets it.
Yeah, he's found his way with social media in a really interesting way. Whether he's battling ducks or he's engaging his fans, he's found his voice, and he's done a great job. Like, he's a guy put out there front and center to do a lot of media, because he's exceptional, and he's always going to represent the company and did the best of his ability.
And now, before you decided to go back to the TV tapings during this pandemic, what were you doing before that? Was it just trying to set up deals, or just taking a step back and just seeing what happens? How were you spending your time?
We were just going. Like, there's different phases of things that we were doing. I think for the first month of the pandemic, we're like, okay, we're just going to have to move everything back a month, maybe 2 months, and we'll see what happens. And I think the whole world was like that. It's like, you're kind of trying to go about your normal routine, and then you're like, oh, it's getting weirder. and so we're like, okay, well, how do we make use of our time? We freed up this bandwidth. What do we do? And so we identified those things, get more eyes on the product, keep our talent and make sure our roster stabilized. And that was an important thing. And just open up new revenue streams and deals like our Nerds clothing deal, a new licensing deal we have. Those were the things we identified. It's like, let's make this company come out roaring when it's time to reappear and reemerge from this. And that's all you can do, is try to, keep this sustainable, come out in a better position, which is difficult in these times. And also give the fans, if you're in a situation where you're not able to have them in an arena, give them the best product you can under circumstances you're afforded. And that's what we're trying to do, is just give them a good product for free every week. And it's a different product. It's a totally different product than that's out there. You know, we don't have a creative team. We don't have a writing team. I'm the booker. I have an assistant booker. I'm the matchmaker. So if it's good, great. If it's bad, it's on me. And we don't give guys scripts. Go out there. Here's an idea of what I want from you, Ross and Marshall Von Erich. And they go over it with their father, Kevin. They'll knock something out and send it to me from beautiful Hawaii. And it looks amazing usually. And it's the same thing with like someone like Alicia too, who's an incredible performer. She just goes out there with a lot of her interviews, and she has her questions. She knows where we're going from a presentation point of view, and she'll have those questions on hand, and she just riffs with the guys, and it feels more organic. I try to center our product, and I kind of identify it as a combat sport. I want it to kind of helps inform me of where I want to take things from TV perspective, from matchmaking perspective, from a feel, from a texture, to the sense of what you're going to experience when you see MLW. It's going to be different than maybe other companies. And I think that's the only way you can try to compete with those other companies, is by being different. But a different that actually maybe works instead of just doing something crazy just to be crazy. It's just, this is something that we think is realistic for us. We're on a sports network. Most of our international partners are sports networks. What works for us, and play to that strength.
What a lot of our readers may not know, we've actually been around since 1997, and you were a part of Wrestling Inc. back in the day. I believe it was the right. Late 90s. So one of my last questions to you is, how has Wrestling Inc. influenced your building your empire?
Well, it's like I minored in journalism, so there was always an appreciation for covering stories and the media. And I think doing the old Pro Wrestling Gazette, which was an email newsletter, right, I remember this in like 96, 97.
Yeah, that was 96. Yeah.
and at the time, just news, it was very similar energy to what's going on now. And it felt like, okay, there's so much cool stuff to cover either stateside or internationally, and, Japan especially, and in Mexico. And it was just an incredible time. And it gave me an appreciation for the media and how the media covers stories, and also a sense of value for having a relationship with the media, because promotions have always historically tried to kind of ice them out, or give them kind of like their talking points, and that's it.
Right.
And I get that. And for a long time, there was no real one-to-one relationship. It was like, just cover what we're doing. We're not going to engage you. Not going to give you access to anyone. It's like, I get that. But imagine if you did. And then, having done some stuff in MMA and seeing how the relationship and the dynamic between the media is different. And yeah, Dana White might not get along or really enjoy some of the lines of questions he's getting, but he gives you access. And I think that's important. It's like, Dana doesn't try to, I'm sure he wishes, I think every promoter wishes they can control a narrative, right? But at the same time, you have to put yourself out there and give your side of the story, your perspective, and then it's up to the fans, it's up to the sports world to decide.
And I was kidding, of course, about wrestling being a, influence in the MLW empire. But it's been great, seeing you over the years and what you built. It's been amazing. I got an impossible question for you with everything going on, but
okay.
Just announced this week that Pfizer, they have a vaccine that's proven, the vaccine that they've been working on for a long time. They produced some preliminary results that show it's 90% effective. So who knows where we'll be this time next year, but where do you see MLW in 2021?
All right. Well, my hope and goal is to have fans in the spring, but we have no idea what the rollout of the vaccine is going to look like. Right. I don't really have a sense yet about athletic commissions and what their game plan is going to be for 2021. Because it's not just the fans, it's like they have certain criteria for locker rooms, and a lot of even big arenas, NBA-sized arenas, can't accommodate what they're asking for. And what they're asking for makes all the sense in the world. It's just what is out there to, you know, to make sure that we can comply with that. It's hard. So there's a bit of that based on that. We run in Pennsylvania, we run in New York. Those are two key markets. We also run in Chicago, Dallas, and Florida, and a few other places. But you know, it's kind of like a jump ball. It's like we have some ideas. We actually have a site survey that's set for later this month. Another exclusive for you, where we're going to have our guys go out and look. It's a tough gig. They're going to have to go out to Hawaii and also down to the Caribbean, because we are looking at doing an actual island show. So Filthy Island is a real thing that's going to happen, we hope. Will we have fans when we do it? To be determined, but we're going to be doing something like that on the horizon. You know, I want to do a live show from a tropical location. I think it would be really cool for the zone. It would also be really cool for TV. So we'll see where it ends up. Those are some of the goals and some of the things we got in the mix. Where do I see us in a year from now? You know, I think we'll be hopefully returning to some semblance of normalcy. I think that, you know, will you be running every taping in the cycle and manner which you did in the past? Perhaps. Maybe it takes a little bit longer. It's hard to know. Hopefully we have a president by then. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of things, you know. Who knows?
Who knows?
I just want to get through 2020. I'm not sure what's happening right now.
Oh, no kidding. I cannot wait till this year is over. Davey Boy Smith Jr. battles Fatu. Jacob Fatu on the first episode of MLW The Restart next Wednesday. What can fans expect from the return, the first episode?
Nonstop action, 2 big title fights. You'll see guys like the Von Erichs there, Salim De La Renta. You'll see the authentic Major League Wrestling experience, hybrid wrestling at its best, all the different styles represented. And who knows, maybe a new champion or 2 will be crowned. Tune in, 7 p.m. Wednesday night, every Wednesday night, and see MLW.
Can't wait, man. Congratulations. And thank you, as always, for joining us here at WrestlingInc.com.